Hello, my name is Jeff Mobley. Welcome to my presentation on the 16 personalities. And for my one aspect of the presentation this week, I want to present on my personality type, the ISFJ personality type. I went ahead and took the test, and rather than try to cover all 16 broadly, I thought it'd be a better use of my time and more informative to take the test and figure out my personality type and then present that specific personality type to the class. So in terms of a roadmap of where we're going in this presentation, I do want to cover the 16 personality types in general. What are they? Where do they come from? How do we come up with 16? And so forth. And then I want to get into specifically what's called on the Myers-Briggs 16 personalities website, the Defender, the ISFJ personality, and what that means in terms of the four different components, and then get into the breakdown of strengths and weaknesses. And then I'm going to skip over the relationships and friendships piece of the analysis. And because this is more of a professional forum, focus on the career paths and workplace habits that are typical of the ISFJ personality type. And then finish with some concluding thoughts and just my reaction to the personality type test. So again, I want to start with what are the 16 personality types and where did they come from? The 16 personality types started with the theory of Carl Jung, or Jung, and his theory of psychological types. And they were dichotomies, so they were polar. It was where you fit on a range between two poles in three different categories. So there was the preference of general attitude, which is extroverted versus introverted. You had the preference of functions of perception, which is sensing versus intuition. You had the preference of functions of judging, which is thinking versus feeling. And then you had the judging perceiving relationship that was added by Isabel Briggs Myers later on, who was a student of Jung's, and that is judging versus perceiving. And so you have all of these different preferences and the dichotomies, and so all permutations of the preferences in these four dichotomies yield 16 personality types. So all the ways that you could put together these particular polar opposites, all the different combinations worked out to 16 personality types. So my personality type is the Defender, ISFJ. I am introverted, sensing, feeling, and judging. The introvert is my source of direction of my energy of expression. My energy is mainly in my own internal world. Sensing refers to the method by which I perceive information. I believe information that I receive directly from the external world. Feeling represents how I process information. And that means that as a rule, I make decisions based on emotion, what I feel I should do. And then the final one, again, added by Isabel Briggs Myers, is the judging. That's how I implement the information that I process. And that means that I organize all of my life events, and as a rule, I stick to my plans. So these four dichotomies make me a Defender, ISFJ. So what does that mean in terms of strengths and weaknesses? Well, my strengths are that I'm very supportive. This personality type is very reliable and patient. Tends to be imaginative and observant. Tends to be enthusiastic. Tends to be loyal and hardworking, and has good practical skills. On the weakness side, humble and shy. And just a note on this one, I never saw humility as a weakness, but in reading through the material, I see where it basically refers to a lack of assertiveness rather than the virtue of humility. So humble and shy means I'm not going to toot my own horn and speak up for myself. I'm going to stay reserved because I'm shy, I'm introverted. Another weakness is taking things too personally, and I definitely see this in my own life. I take criticism very hard and take it personally rather than as constructive about the work that I've done. ISFJs tend to repress their feelings, and that is true of me as well. We tend to overload ourselves. We're reluctant to change, and we're too altruistic. We're willing to go the extra mile for everybody and not take care of ourselves. So what does it mean in terms of a career and in terms of how I operate or we operate in the workplace as ISFJs. ISFJs tend to be more in the support careers, the support professions. So human resources and support, counselors, we're very good listeners. Technical support, we like one-on-one, and again, we're good listeners. We can be analytic despite the fact that we're more dependent on our emotions, but really good in technical support roles. Interior designers, which I've never had any interest in and still don't, but apparently interior designers is another career path for the ISFJ personality type, again, because of that one-on-one connection. And then customer service, again, because of that service type and being loyal. In the workplace, what do we look like? Well, as subordinates, we're humble, we're dedicated, we're patient, we're committed, and we're loyal, almost to a fault. And I've seen that in my own relationships with managers and even with organizations, being very loyal, very dedicated, just putting my head down and working and doing what I need to do. As colleagues, IFSJs are frictionless. We're friends helping friends. We're dedicated and we're warm. We like to work with everybody. We like to be helpful, and we like to be a part of the team. And then as managers, defenders don't typically search out management roles, but when we are in those roles, we're approachable, we're great listeners, and we're not authoritarian. And that's been my management style in the times I've been in management roles. I've been that warm, approachable guy, wanting to be friends with everybody on my team, not necessarily the best boss or even leader at times because of not wanting to violate those relationships and because of that loyalty. So in conclusion, just how did this strike me? I found it to be pretty accurate representation of my personality. Again, I could identify with a lot of the strengths and weaknesses and the workplace habits of the ISFJ. Just to note though, I did take it twice. The first time I took it, I came out as a logistician, which is an ISTJ. That's thinking instead of feeling. So the first time I was an ISTJ, logistician. The second time I was an ISFJ, which is a defender. I'm very, very close to the feeling, thinking, but they're both in a category what's called sentinels on the 16 personalities website. And then I found the whole exercise eye-opening, but not a complete picture. I feel like, again, there's a blend maybe of personality types, and I'm somewhere in the middle of two rather than fitting all in one personality type. So with that, I'm done. Thank you very much. Here are the websites that I referenced for further review, and I appreciate your time and your feedback.